You probably hear this in most videos, if not all videos, that I talk about on Master Talk. But no matter how much we try and get away from it, it still rings true no matter what. And that is the quality of your presentation is solely determined by how much your audience falls in love with it. And that's exactly why on this week's episode of Master Talk, I'm going to be giving you more insights on how to be more obsessive with your audience so that you can make them your muse. Hi everyone, my name is Brendan. I'm the host of Master Talk, your go-to channel to mastering your talk. And let's get into how you can become more obsessive about your audience. Number one, practice as if they didn't exist. When I did business competitions in university, the same lining was always true. We would always present cases or solutions to executives within the case. Whether that company happens to be a non-profit organization like Charity Water or a for-profit one like Nike, they would always have a solution to a problem that's in the case. But whenever we presented to them, those executives were generally not in the room, which makes sense, by the way. You can't fly out the CEO of a company every time that there's a case competition on their company. So because of that, we had to pretend whenever we were competing against other schools that the person that we wanted to talk to was in the room regardless of whether that person was there or not. So if we're talking to the chairman of Nike, Phil Knight, I would always present as if he existed and he was in the room the entire time. That's why my advice is if you can practice with friends or family, pretending as if they were your actual audience, if you ever actually meet them one day, you'll be a lot more connected to them and it'll be much easier to build a rapport with that audience. Number two, talk directly to your audience by name whenever possible. Public speaking, as I define it, is like having a coffee with an old friend. It's having that amazing connection so that when you leave that coffee, you feel better and more connected with the person that you haven't seen in many years. In that same regard, whenever you're trying to build rapport with your audience in an obsessive fashion, it's very important for you to address them by name whenever you can. So for example, whenever I'm presenting to friends and family and I'm trying to prepare for my presentations, I always address them by name of the person that I want to be presenting to. So if we take Nike again as an example with Phil Knight, I don't just start my presentations like the other schools do, like so. Hi everyone, my name is Brendan and today I'm going to be presenting about Nike. No, I talk to them more personally. I say something like, Phil, when you started Nike, you had a mission to create footwear that anyone could use to be their best selves and just do it. And that personalization really takes your presentations to the next level. So if you can address your audience, even if they're not there, by first name, it'll give you that mental exercise to understand that your audience does in fact exist. And finally, number three, which is probably the most fun tip I'll be giving in this video, is practicing by taking very big risks with your audience. In other words, what I want to say here is do the crazy things. I'll give you an example from my personal life. When I used to do case competitions, there was this one case I got with a Japanese supplier where there was parts, it was auto parts, and they had to ship those parts to the US and they wanted to sell those parts there. But what I knew from personal experience is most executives in Japan tend to do business in Japanese only. So even if the board of directors or the CEO of the company wasn't in the room, I gave my entire introduction in Japanese by saying something like, good morning, ohayo gozaimasu, and then saying, how are you in Japanese, genki desu ka? But the whole audience was super confused because why is Brendan speaking in Japanese when there's nobody who speaks Japanese in the crowd? And that is my point. If you can take very big risks to get to your audience and build a connection with them, when you actually start practicing for your real presentations, whether it's a more professional keynote or something that's related to your field, you'll be a lot more comfortable taking those smaller risks. There's another quick example I can give where there's one presentation I once brought a bouquet of roses to and then just dropped in front of my presentation. And then at some point, I asked the audience, who wondered why the roses were there? And almost every single person in the audience shot up their hand. And I told them at that point that my presentation does not begin when I speak. It begins the second I walk into the room. And that's why, if you're obsessive about your audience, you'll be able to master your talk in a way no one else can. As always, if you enjoyed this week's episode of Master Talk, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well to see more videos like this. And if you know one person that wants to get better obsessing over their audience, don't be shy to send them this video as well. Take care, everyone. Have a fantastic week, and see you next time.